Alright, so I won an item off of eBay that I've been looking to get for a while, and so I'm going to show you what I get when I get back. Hello, I'm back. Yeah, here's what I got. It is a Pentax MX with a Vivitar close focusing 135 2.8 lens. I can already tell right now that's going to be on my camera a lot. It's a Pentax MX. The camera itself's in great shape. No dents, no dings. And the lens, I shone a flashlight through it. So when you're buying a lens with a camera, always shine a flashlight through it. There's always going to be some dust. What you don't want is fungus, and you don't want it to be foggy. Alright, so yeah, I'm happy. Look at that lens. It's like mint. No scratches at all. Alright, so let's go. Hello, this is Travis for Sliver Surfer 1. We're back in the Maker Studio right now, and we have the camera and the lens that I just picked up the other day from the eBay seller. Okay, so here's the camera and the lens that I got. Alright, it's the Vivitar 135mm f2.8 auto telephoto close focusing. It was made by Comine back in the pre-autofocusing film era. It can be found in most mounts of the pre-AF film era, such as Olympus, Canon FD, Pentax PK, Nikon, Minolta, MD, and all those, other ones. There's so many back then that I could list. Konica. The special thing about this, the reason why I've been looking for it for a while, is it's a close focusing Vivitar, and close focusing Vivitars are sought after because they are supposed to be good, very good indeed. So this looks like a regular 135 2.8. Okay, you can see it's got a substantial lens in the front, lens element in the front. But what happens is it has a double helicoid in there that when you turn this, it extends it twice as far as a regular helicoid would go, and you get macro focusing to 1 to 2 macro size. Okay, so that means that if you were taking a picture of something in real life, it's going to be half the size on your image sensor. Okay, so if you're taking the picture of a 6mm bug, it would be 3mm on your sensor, which is pretty big on a 35mm sensor. It's got a filter size of 62mm, and it's got a focus throw of 540 degrees. Okay, which is a lot. 540 is 1.5 times around. So you can see that, how much it is. And you can see the registration on it goes from infinity back to the minimum focus. But the minimum focus isn't 75 centimeters. Minimum focus, because it goes more than one time around, the minimum focus shows up here. So the minimum focus on this is 60 centimeters. Okay. The lens is a solid all-metal construction made in Japan. It consists of 4 elements in 4 groups. Alright, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lens out for a test drive, but I'm not going to shoot it on the Pentax MX. Okay, it's film. I do like taking pictures with film, but for purposes I'm going to be showing you how this lens does on something else. And that would be my Sony A7 II. It's got a PK adapter. Okay, so I'm going to be taking this out for a test drive, and I'll show you some samples. Okay, so I'm back. I processed my raw images from the Sony A7 II and the Vivitar lens that I just showed you. Normally I go out to the woods or the ponds and take pictures there, but I decided to do something different. I was going to go out and do some urban photography. I went for a little walk around my town of London, second best London in the world. So I'm back with the photos. I developed them in Lightroom from compressed RAW. There are 2 groups of photos taken at different apertures. There's a group of the Holy Roller tank that's in the local park to show sharpness and fringing. I didn't do any sharpening or contrast changes on that set of photos for the tank, just so you could see the difference in sharpening from increasing aperture values. Okay, and you can also look and see that it has very little purple fringing, but you can see a little bit in here to give you an idea of the fringing. Even some of the best lenses in the world have it. Okay, and there's a second group of photos I did in ascending aperture values of a brick wall with beautiful graffiti or art on it. And the reason why I showed you that one is it will demonstrate the lack of distortion that this lens has. There's no distortion in it. Okay, but I'll get to that later. And I didn't change the color from the raw, so it's straight off of. I didn't develop these photos I didn't process these photos at all. They are from RAW. They're not from JPEGs at all. They're a neutral picture as well. Neutral picture settings as well for the RAW. So it'll give you an idea of how the color is on this camera, and how the corner sharpness is. And the center sharpness. Back to the Holy Roller tank. Also, look, what I did was I zoomed in on the placard that's on the Holy Roller tank, and you can see the difference in the sharpness. Okay, thanks. So enjoy these sample photos coming up. Okay, so what did you think? I enjoyed this lens a lot, and I hope you enjoyed the photos I took as well. My pros I take away from that, the little walkabout I took, the pros are that the color on this lens is very bold. I loved how vivid they were. I guess that's why they call it Vivitar, right? They are sharp. They're sharp from 2.8 to 22, like nice sharpness from 2.8 to 22. It's really uniform. It's not the sharpest lens in the world, but it is one of the most uniform sharpness I've seen in like a portrait slash hybrid macro lens. Okay, this doesn't claim to be a macro lens, but it basically is. So it's sharp from 2.8 to 22, with a sweet spot being very large. About from 4 to 16 f-stop is pretty much really good. Nothing's perfect, but it's really good between 4 and 16 f-stop. It's got a very accurate focusing because of that long 540 degree rotation to focus it. It's very accurate to focus on things that are far away, just because of that long focus throw. It's got a solid build. It feels really solid. It's a bit heavy, but it's not too heavy. I believe that kind of helps with stabilizing a lens of that size. It's got smooth focus with a very large grip that grips really nice on a manual lens. I saw very minimal chromatic aberrations with a slight bit of fringing. It's got a nicely coated lens. You can see the purples. Sorry, you can see the purples and the yellows in there. It's nicely coated, and the smoothness of this fantastic lens. The bokeh was beautiful. It's got nice creamy bokeh, even though it's got that clumsy stop sign aperture in it. The cons to this lens, there's not very many of them. It can glow wide open at 2.8, okay, but I shot without a hood, and I'm pretty positive if I threw a hood on there, I wouldn't have gotten as much glowing. Even though it was glowing, it's still sharp with a little bit of glow around it. I was shooting at noon, so there's really harsh light, so that could also be why I got the glow. But a hood would probably fix that. In certain situations, the contrast can wash out on it, but that also could be corrected by using a hood. But I wanted to see what this lens could do without filters or hoods or any external accessories. I stated that the 540 degree throw on it was a pro earlier, but depending on your situation, it's also a con, because if you are shooting action, then you won't be able to go from far away to close very fast. So that's one disadvantage, is the very difficult to focus on dynamic distances, like far away and close. Another disadvantage I would say is that it's large in macro mode. Okay, when it's close up, it's a large lens. Okay, you can see this. When most macro lenses are in full extended mode, the front element is usually inside. It's a smaller element on the inside, and it's lighter than the body. Okay, but this, since it has two helicoids, it brings the whole front element forward and makes it large and tippy. But it's not really a bad. I don't mind it too much, but some people might find that clumsy, and it is kind of heavy for a 135 2.8 manual lens. Okay, so what's my conclusion? Well, this is a fantastic lens. Okay, you can get it in a lot of mounts. If you're shooting with a mirrorless camera, try finding a mount that doesn't match up with the big cameras nowadays. But if you can find it in one of the mounts that are less popular, you'll save some money. But this lens, they're going up in price. They're Some people can get them for, $60, $50, which is a bargain. But for the most part, they're going to be up close to 200, 250, maybe even 300 sooner or later. But this lens is worth it. Okay, it's a very versatile lens. It's got excellent color. Go get it. You're not gonna be unhappy with it. And if you are unhappy with it, you can resell it for as much as you bought it. When you saw my samples there, you saw a fella playing the banjo there. When I am out doing street photography, I like to be sensitive towards people that are down on their luck, or homeless. And I generally don't take pictures of homeless people unless they approach me first. If they come to me and ask me for some change, I will suggest to them, I'll say, can I pay you to let me take pictures of you because you seem like an interesting person? Or, just be respectful to them. He was a busker. I saw him playing there. He said, "Hey, do you mind if I take a picture of you?" And he says, "I love it when people take pictures of me." And I said, "Great, thanks." And I took some pictures of him, and then I threw him a couple bucks. And then I sat down with him and talked to him for a bit. Found out he's a pretty nice guy. And he asked me about my channel, and I told him what I was going to do with the photos, and then I gave him a couple more bucks and took off. But yeah, be respectful. Don't get into these people's faces. I know a lot of street photographers do that. But be respectful, and don't. It seems to me like people might feel shamed if you're taking a picture, basically gawking at them. I know you're out there. It's a right. You have a right to be able to take a picture of anybody, but I also think you have a right to be decent about it. Okay, so when you have the opportunity to do so, take it. Take it in a respectful way, and don't treat these people like they are zoo animals, okay, or wildlife. They're people, and I know they're interesting, but they're still people. Be respectful about it, and why not talk to them, ask them if they mind. So with that, that's kind of a bit of a heavy message from me, but thanks for watching. Please focus, and then full press that subscribe button. Oh, and watch these videos.